Hello, Sophia May. How are you? Hi, Chris. Angelica, nice to see you. Jacqueline, hello. Oh, I'm better, Jacqueline. Thank you for asking. Not perfect, far from perfect, but definitely getting better. Good enough to live stream. For those of you who are here that don't know, I broke a rib a few days ago. Fell down, broke a rib. So I've been trying to rest it. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jacqueline. So, as you get on, please just sit quietly. And we'll just all join in a little meditation together. So nice to see so many of you. So as most of you know, when I teach meditation, I simply ask people to sit still and be very, very relaxed and just be consciously content. Don't make a problem out of anything. Just relax. Be still and content. Be satisfied with things the way they are. Without making any effort to change them or alter them or manipulate them. Just let everything be exactly as it is. Totally relaxed. Totally content with the way things are. So what I want to talk about today is what it is that gives our meditation practice power. So the meditation that I teach is about the simplest form of meditation you could imagine. You just sit still and relax. And let everything be as it is. You don't do anything at all. Now, when some people meditate, it has a very powerful effect. It gives them tremendous insights and realizations about themselves, about who they are, about life. It can lead to dramatic changes. It can lead to transformation of your life and who you are. Hi, Sylvia. Nice to see you. But not everybody who meditates has powerfully transformative experiences. Ali, hello. Catherine, nice to see everyone here. So what is it that gives our meditation power? Hello. What is it that allows the simple practice of being content to change our lives? So, of course, part of it is the meditation instruction. How powerful are the instructions for meditation? But a lot of instructions are powerful. And just because the instructions are powerful or the form of meditation is powerful doesn't mean that everybody gets the same effect. So the other half of the equation, the other part of what makes our meditation practice powerful, is the context within which we're doing the meditation. Thank you for those hearts, whoever sent them. Hey, Jewel, nice to see you. So, what gives our meditation practice power is the context within which we're doing it. And there's different ways that one could speak about the context of meditation. But today, hi there, Jewel. So nice to see you here. Today, I want to speak about the context in terms of what questions are we asking about life? What questions are we living in? So the difference between a statement and a question is very simple. Statements are definitive. They tell us the way things are. They close the door to further inquiry. So if I say, I am meditating, as a statement, I am meditating. That's it. That's what I'm doing, period. There's no question about it. If I were to say, I am meditating, right? You see that the inflection goes up. I am meditating. You can almost hear it opening. It's opening the possibility of discovery. Discovering whether in this case, whether I'm meditating or not. Maybe I think I'm meditating, but I'm not really meditating. I don't know. You see, the inflection means I don't know. It opens the door to inquiry. It opens the door to discovery. And we are all always living in questions. And part of what gives our meditation practice power is how powerful the questions are that we're living in. How powerful, how potent is the unknown aspect of our life. So when we talk about the power, what gives a question power? Greetings, my friend. Part of that is the scope of the question. How broad an area is this question going to affect? When the question is personal, scope basically means how much of our life will this question touch? I could ask a question like, what am I going to have for breakfast? It doesn't have a vast scope. It's going to touch a very small part of my life for a very short amount of time. I could decide oatmeal, I could decide eggs, I could decide toast, and I would have a very small effect. I could ask a bigger question like, what career am I going to pursue? That's a much bigger question. It will have a much bigger effect on your life. If you pursue a career as a doctor, you're starting a life in one direction. If you pursue a career in something else, as a lawyer, you're going in a different direction. You'll really be affecting a big part of your life. And then there are big existential questions, like just generally, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Who am I? These are huge questions that affect our very existence and our deepest sense of identity. So what questions are you living into? That's a big part of what gives your meditation power. The other aspect of meditation that matters is how alive is the question for you. And what makes a question alive is our commitment to acting on what the answer is. So I could ask big questions like, why am I here? But have very little intention of actually doing anything about it, no matter what the answer is. So the question is not really very alive. But if I'm deeply committed to act on the answers I receive, then those questions, they are vibrating with life. They are so alive. So I was saying earlier, when we practice meditation, in my case, what I teach is just the art of conscious contentment. Sitting, being still and relaxed, and choosing to be content. Being consciously content with everything the way it is. And those instructions have power. But the other thing that gives them power is the context within which you're meditating, which today we're speaking about in terms of what questions are you living into? What questions are you holding? You don't have to meditate to find the answers. That's not the point. Meditation isn't a tool, at least the way I teach it. Meditation is not a tool to find answers. But we're always living in the context of some questions. And the bigger the questions are, the more powerful the meditation. You see, if the questions of your life are big enough, that means that when you sit down to meditation, you sit down knowing that your whole life could change as a result. And you sit down knowing that the insights you might receive, if they imply a major shift in your life, you know without a doubt that you're going to pursue them. If that's the context of your meditation, if you're going into this asking big questions, ready for your life to change, and being deeply committed to changing based on the answers you receive, then your meditation is like a nuclear powered meditation. So contemplating, what are the questions you're living into? What are you holding open about life? Is a huge part of what gives your meditation its power. If you're not questioning much, if you're more or less satisfied with the way things are, you're not really interested in changing anything, well, not that much can happen. But if you're deeply interested in pursuing the openings that arrive, then no one knows what can happen. And at least as I understand it, divinity, the goddess, the divine, whatever you want to call her, she gives the grace of openings only to those that she feels will pursue them. You know, her gifts of grace, her openings are valuable, they're precious. She doesn't just give them to anybody. The more convinced she is that you are ready and willing and able to pursue the opening she gives, the more interested she is in giving you the gifts of grace. So we're going to sit for a moment and what I would suggest you contemplate in the space of this silence is the question or questions that you are living into in your own life. What is the question or questions that you are living into? Where are you opening the door to discovery? Just take a moment and contemplate that for yourself. You know, I would say for myself, the question that is most open for me is the question of what is it that the divine wants from me? I feel that I have been so unbelievably fortunate to have been blessed with so many gifts of grace, so many openings. And so as a human being who has been so generously gifted by the divine, I want to know how I can best honor her. How can I become a more perfect reflection of the gifts that I've been given? You know, I teach meditation and spiritual philosophy and run an online community. All beautiful things. And there's always a question. Is this what she wants? And is this what she wants now? Is this the fullest expression of gratitude that I can be for what I've received? This domain of question is the domain that I feel compelled by. And the history of my life gives me some degree of confidence that when I get a different answer, I change. I have radically changed my life on several occasions. And utterly and completely changed it twice before. So that gives me some degree of confidence that if her message to me were to change, that I would be willing to change with her. So the contemplation has to do with what is your relationship to the questions of your life. Hello, Abina. And so I also wanted to create some space here Thanks, Abina, for the request, but I don't actually take guests unless I arrange them ahead of time. But what I would like to do is invite anyone to type in a question. If you have a question you'd like me to respond to, and hopefully it's a question that is wide in scope, which means it would affect a huge part of your life, a big part of your life, maybe your entire life, and also one that's very alive for you, one that you're very ready to change. You see, when you ask questions, we should relate to questions as precious commodities. Especially these kind of questions, spiritual questions. And so we want to ask questions that have the potential to affect our whole life. And that we feel deeply committed to responding to. What's the biggest question that's alive for you right now? Why am I here? Frenzy asks, why am I here? And what's the answer that you've come up with so far, Frenzy? So why am I here is a very, that's the question. What's the answer that you've come up with so far? If you don't mind saying. So usually or often, when we ask a question like, why am I here? What I have tended to see is that people ask the question and they aren't leaving it big enough. Before we get into specifics about what am I supposed to do, because often people will confuse the question, why am I here, for what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do is a much narrower question, and it's about specific activities or ways of life. But if we ask, why am I here, we want to leave it as big and broad and general as possible. Why am I here? The domain of answers that we might come up with are things like, I'm here to be as loving as possible. I'm here to alleviate suffering, right? These are big, big answers. If we're looking at why am I here and we're looking too granular, if we're looking for what I'm going to do, then we often feel like we don't know. But if we step far enough back and we look at this question from a very, very vast place, often we'll get a sense of why we're here. But even if we don't right away, even if we don't get an answer right away, just stepping back and asking the question is powerful, even without an answer. Good morning. And in terms of my view requests, I don't accept those requests unless I've arranged ahead of time or I know the person. Thank you for following me. So why are you here in the biggest sense? And I'll bet you all have an answer to that. Our answers are always our, best guess so far answer and could always change. And the answer to why am I here will change through the course of your life. At one point it might be, I am here to fully awaken. But then if one does find that awakening, then you're no longer here to fully awaken. That might change. I'm here to realize my full potential. Is there an existence without a cause? And I know that's Christopher, and I'm not exactly sure what you mean by the question. To learn to experience, to discover who we are and how to live my life in truth. Yeah, that's beautiful, Lake Country Girl. To learn to experience, to discover who we are and how to live my life in truth. Absolutely. What am I and what does it do? It's a beautiful question. Kind of like the wording to that question. What does it do? What am I and what does it do? Is there something without beginning or end that we can grasp? I mean, I think so. And I guess it depends what you mean by grasp. And what I would say is, there is something without beginning or end that you can be absolutely certain exists. Even if you can never grasp it in the sense of knowing it or understanding it. But you can experience something that is infinite and eternal. And that experience can convince you that something that is infinite and eternal exists, even if you can't understand it or know it. Christopher, if you would like to join the box, I would be willing to let you in because I know who you are. And if you want to, you just hit the little plus sign and ask to be a guest. Hi, Keith. I don't think I can let you in unless you ask. There you go. This will be fun. I think I've accepted you, but I don't see you, so maybe I did not. Ah, here you are. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. Thank you very much for accepting my request to join.
Sure.
I feel very honored and intimidated. Yes, once we tap in a dimension that has no beginning and no end, and we can have glimpses of it, but not with, what happens to me is never with my mind. And once I have glimpses of it, I'm trying to integrate it with my mind
Yes.
because I'm not in this dimension. How can really truly integrate it and leave our history?
Leave your history.
Because the history always gets in the way. The history is finite. It has a beginning, it has an end. It is so minuscule. It's really so minuscule in the scope of immensity. But to be honest, that's what takes 99% of my space in my walking and waking hours.
Yes. So you have experienced the infinite aspect of reality, right? The infinite and the eternal.
I feel that I have.
Yes.
But even
Okay.
as I'm saying this now, it feels very pretentious. But I feel that I have.
No, I would agree with you. I don't think we need to think of it as pretentious. We're not saying that you are a fully enlightened Buddha. We're just saying that you have experienced the infinite and absolute, and I'm sure everybody on here has experienced that. So it's not like we're even special, right? You don't come to a live like this if you haven't ever experienced, tasted that. So then the question is, you asked the question. So the question is, what is your relationship to that?
Yeah.
What is that in relationship to you?
It always brings me back to a kind of, if I can quote him, there's a guy, he's not very, J. Krishnamurti, not J. Krishnamurti, and he talks about a fascistic insistence on our own importance, which I witness, unfortunately, in me, even if I know it is just like a speck of dust in the stuff, but it doesn't seem to go away.
Yes.
This kind of fascistic insistence on my own importance.
So
and
look,
I'm talking about that in relation to other human beings, hurt and everything. And
Right.
It's just,
So Daniel is on right now, or at least he was a minute ago. Daniel Allen. I spoke with him last week, and he said something very beautiful. He said that we are individual expressions of an infinite being, which is what you're
I
saying,
remember I was on the call. I was on the
right? There
call.
you
I
go.
remember. Thank you. Yeah.
Beautifully put.
Thank you for
And
reminding
this
me.
is this is what you have experienced, right? You are an individual expression of an infinite being. So the question is, to what degree do you believe that you are an infinite being?
Absolutely. I believe that absolutely. Do I live it absolutely? I always fall
Okay, forget
short.
about whether you live it absolutely. Just, do you believe it absolutely? Do you have no doubt?
No doubt. No doubt. No
Okay,
doubt.
so you have no doubt that you are an infinite being, right?
No
And
doubt.
in that infinite and eternal being is perfect, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So you have no doubt that you are perfect.
My infinite being. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so your infinite eternal being is perfect. And you have no
Yes.
doubt
Yes.
about it,
No doubt.
right? Your individual manifestation on earth is not perfect,
Yes. No.
right?
Far
But
from
who
it.
cares? That's not a problem. That's just a fact.
Thank you.
So then the question is, what does it look like to the infinite and eternal aspect of yourself? The infinite and eternal aspect of yourself doesn't look at your earthly manifestation and go, oh my God, I'm such a loser,
No.
right?
No.
It
Doesn't
goes,
care about that.
no, it doesn't care, but to the extent that it does care, it just looks and goes, wow, I could do a lot better than that. From the eternal's point of view, it's like, oh my God, look at that. I have an individual expression down there on earth. What can I do with that thing? Like my experience is that infinite and eternal part of us just sees the potential of our life on earth. Just sees it as, wow, what an opportunity. Can you imagine if the infinite, were living through that? And right now, you're probably living through when I talk. So this is always the interesting thing about spiritual conversation. When I say you right now, I'm not talking to Christopher. I'm talking to you, the cosmos, right? So you, the cosmos, probably lived through Christopher. I don't know. Maybe it's only 1% of the time. But even that's a miracle.
Yeah.
Right? Even the fact that the infinite lives through you 1% of the time is a miracle. Wouldn't it be even more a miracle if it was 2% of the time, 3% of the time? And then obviously, of course, 50% of the time, 70% of the time, all the time,
It's been available, always reminding and never forgetting to become
Right.
available to that.
So the part of you that wants to beat yourself up for not living up to your infinite and eternal perfection is not the infinite eternal.
It's not beating myself up. It's a part of me which is tormented a bit by not being fully available. I mean, understand. It's
Yes.
it's more like a soul torment to be not an honoring.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
So look, the infinite and eternal part of you is not tormented by anything, right? There's no torment in the infinite and eternal. There's just perfect peace.
Yeah.
There are aspects of yourself, of your personal self, right? There are aspects of your personal self that have conscience, that see who you really are, and they see how you manifest. and then they feel bad about that because they feel like they could do much better.
Yeah.
That's a
They know better.
beautiful
They
part
know
of you.
better.
Right.
They know better.
And that is a very beautiful part of you. Right. So I always tell people, and I try to live myself, I try to live up to at least the truth I've already realized. I don't know how much truth I've realized. I don't know, because I don't know how big the truth is. So how do I know? But I want to do everything I can to honor the truth that I have realized. And all that matters is honoring the truth that you have realized, right?
And I realize that I am quite doing that most of the time in a way.
I'm sure you're doing it much better than you think. And even
I'm just realizing that.
Yes, even the parts of you that recognize you're not doing it, that's part of the doing it. Because you're just working, because you care. That's beautiful. You're a human being who has seen their infinite, eternal core and cares that it gets manifest on earth. That's amazing. You can feel really good about that.
Is there enough care? Is there enough care and affection for it? Yes.
Absolutely. And how can you care more? Why not? How can I give more? You can always keep asking the question, how do I get out of the way even more? But you don't want to move from deficiency. You want to move from your strength and your fullness. You want to move from, wow, I'm giving myself to spirit. How can I do that even more? There's a lot of power in that stance. There's no power in the, I don't do it very much, I wish I was doing it,
Something was very clear yesterday for me, and it's in a conflict, which is usually it happens with everybody within family. But with everything that I know is, I was really asking to myself this real question, like in the church, they say you renounce Satan, but Satan is the mind, and mind and spirit. Because I don't believe the devil is the a rival of God. I mean, God has no rival. It's just the devil is the mind. And I was really saying to myself, do you really renounce the mind? Do you really renounce the mind? Do you really renounce like trying to answer from your mind and not go beyond? Because beyond there is love and care and affection. And the mind is always retaliating. You renounce retaliation. In fact, you really truly in your heart renounce retaliation, no matter how right you are. And even if I'm right, that's even the worst place to be so you really renounce that. That's what I was realizing.
Yes.
If you're right, it's even worse. You really renounce that for a higher truth, which is beyond your grasp, but it's true, which has...
So if you want to renounce your mind and surrender to divinity, right? That means you're renouncing the small self that thinks it knows everything, and you're surrendering to the infinite self that actually does know, right? So one of the ways you don't do that is by having all kinds of ideas about how much you are or are not living the infinite. How do you know? Because if you get too into like, I'm not living it enough, I'm not living up to my potential, I know where I am, maybe you don't know. Maybe you're living it more than you think. Maybe you're living it less than you think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very beautiful, Christopher. Thank you, my friend.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Much love to you. See you soon. I think you have to click yourself off, because I don't think I can do that for you.
I'll log out and come back in.
Okay, do that. Love you too, Sylvia. Okay, so that is the end of our time. That was very fun. So in the future, I am happy to speak to people like Christopher, whom I know. Or if you want to send me a note beforehand and let me know that you're going to be on so that I'll know who you are, I'm happy to talk to you. I just don't like to take random people because one never knows. But I really want to thank you and suggest that you continue to think about the context of what are the questions you're living into. What is it that's giving power to your life? Thank you so much for joining me. I'm here every Sunday at noon, and it's just lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. Much love. Till next week. Bye now.